Hi guys, so I just figured, I have some thoughts to share around the newly released Scholomance Academy cards. Uh, and some of them are pretty spicy. I have a few cards that I think are overrated, a few that I think are underrated, and I also have my top 10 best cards of the set. So I didn't want to just do like a Twitter post this time because, I just want to like express them like by voice. It's kind of it should be more precise and more fun as well. So yeah, that's why I did this video and hope you guys enjoy it. First of all, just this like a disclaimer. So when I say like a card is overrated or unplayable, that doesn't mean like I don't like the design. In fact, I think this expansion is one of the best expansions ever. Uh, Design wise, I think it's very flavorful, and I'm very excited to play with the tools we get. And also keep in mind, like these are personal opinions. I am not a top level player, but I do watch a lot of tournaments. I love doing like statistical analyses and like all the theoretical stuff, Hearthstone related, lineup design, theory crafting. I do a lot of that stuff. So, I've been doing like card reviews with my friends since like 2014. This time I talked with Pavling Book and RP Balance, who are two like masters towards grinders, and we shared some of the opinions. And I also watched a bunch of streamer reviews. Anyway, uh, I'll also be like touching on several pitfalls of card evaluations from my point of view. Uh, so yeah, let's jump right into that. So I'll start with top 10 most overrated cards because like that's kind of the more spicy things. So first, uh, as shown on the screen, is True Aim Crescent. So after your hero attacks a minion, your minions attack it too. It's a Demon Hunter dual class card. So simply put, I know like this card isn't, it's not like everyone thinks this card is OP, but Tempo Storm did rated top 5 best cards, and when I first saw this card, it does seem that like it gives everything rush, and then it gives everything Wind Fury because you can go face, and then you can attack a minion, and this minion will attack it as well. But really, when you think about it, first of all, it will most likely not give rush because it is attack by play order. So it's actually pretty hard to give a minion rush unless like that's your only minion that you just played on board. Um, Also, you don't always pick up favorable trades because since you don't really control the order, sometimes you have like a 3 health minion, but then you're forced to like bump your 1 attack minion first into it. Then you bump your 3 attack minion into that like 2 health minion, which is super bad for you. You just lost a minion for no reason. So you don't always get to pick up that favorable trade you want. Also, you're taking like a ton of face damage to give your minion rush or Wind Fury, and like DH does have a lot of heal, but I don't think you really want to take that much face damage. Also, there just are better weapons nowadays. DH has Umber Wing, which I think is better in aggro Demon Hunter, and like Control still wants to play. Yeah, and Control still wants to play Warglaives. Also, there's the new 4 mana 4/2 weapon, which I think is really good as well. So there are plenty of other better weapons. And also, people mentioned the fancy like 2-card combo with Ace Hunter. But I think that's like, it's like, when people say like, oh, this Priest card combos very well with Cabal, and it never works out. Those 2-card combos which give you like slight board advantage on a particular circumstance and one of them is a legendary, those types of combos usually never work out in Hearthstone. That's my opinion. So anyhow, 10th most overrated card is Truant Crescent. So then ninth. Ninth place is, let me type that, Fresh. Yes, it's this card. So, Frazzled Freshman. So I watched Eddie's and Egg Waffles review. They all said this card was is pretty powerful, and like there will be some type of tempo slash mid range buff priest in the meta. I don't think that would be a thing. The last time we saw like a real raw like stats curve mid rangey buff priest was like Undertaker priest, right? And yeah, priest is not good. Just playing tempo, playing minions on curve. Combo priest was similar, but we don't have we don't have divine spirit anymore. So there's a lack of finisher and lack of card draw, which really hurts. So I don't think this card is gonna get played at all. 8th place. So 8th place is like a card I really like. I really like the card. So I hope I didn't misspell that. Yeah. So Sphere of Sapience. I really like the design. It involves a lot of decision making, but some people say this is very powerful and like can see play in some niche decks, like some combo decks, or like some control decks. But I just cannot imagine a deck playing a 1-mana 0/4 weapon that essentially doesn't do anything on the board, at least. And I said this like on Twitter a few times as well, but this doesn't give you a card you want. You know, like it's not, first of all, it's not attracting. You're not drawing a card. Also, it doesn't give you a card you want in the sense that you only eliminate a bad card potentially, but that doesn't mean that card you will draw like next up after you have placed this on the bottom is a card you want either. You know, it doesn't higher your odds that much. So that's why I think this card is, at the end of the day, pretty bad, and I don't think any deck would want to play that. But as I said, it's a great design, and I love the flavor of the card. You know, not every card has to be playable. You know, it can still be a great design. So 7th place. So before we jump into 7th place, I want to talk about like the first pitfall of card evaluation that I've been seeing since like 2015, which is relying on a comparison with a similar card from the past, from a different class and in a different meta. So the card I want to talk about in this case is First Day of School. So First Day of School, add 2 random 1 cost minion to your hand. So every time I see someone review this card, they compare it to Firefly, and I'm pretty confused. So sometimes it's wrong to compare cards like between different classes, and other times it's just wrong to compare, you know, a class card with a neutral card, and especially when, you know, Firefly was a card from like 2017, 2018, right? We're in 2020 right now. And Firefly was good because, you know, Odd Paladin was something, because Quest Roll was something. And you really can't compare this to Firefly. You know, like, yes, you can play this on 1 and then play a 1-drop, and then you still have a 1-drop in hand. In that sense, theoretically, it's similar to Firefly, but still, I think this card is just too low impact and even too low tempo and too low value. The 1-drops you get usually, like, they aren't like good at all. Your average result is not good enough for this card to actually see play in tempo-based paladin deck. Um, it might have like some good synergy with spell burst, but still, the card itself is pretty bad. And this just makes me think of like, you know, when people compare like devolving missiles, right? That card to devolve, and devolve was a really good card, but I think people forgot like why devolve was so good. That's because first, shaman was already really good like in 2017, right? There was Evolve Shaman, which was already a really good deck, and Evolve just fits perfectly in that deck because there was Spreading Plague, and you know, when you have a huge board, the Spreading Plague, you can still kill the Druid by doing like devolve into like Bloodlust, and that's how you win the game. And you know, like even if we had Evolve nowadays, I don't think it necessarily would be like a top tier card either. Anyhow, I went into a bit of a tangent. I didn't intend to talk about devolving missiles as like an overrated card. I don't think it's too overrated, but it's not good. So sixth place. Uh, that's actually sixth place is not a card, but rather like a theme, which is the Soul Fragment theme. So mainly soul fragments in DH. Um, First argument would be that I think DH still wants to play Skull, and Skull has like an insanely bad like anti synergy with the 0 mana like casts when drawn spells. Right, you don't get the reduction. And second argument would be that um, you need to play quite some bad cards in DH to be able to play basically a 3 mana Duskbreaker. But again, don't try to compare this with Duskbreaker because Duskbreaker was a priest card that was a dragon that fits perfectly their curve back in 2018, right? So it's not really comparable. This is not as good as Duskbreaker, and most importantly, DH already has all those tools, right? They have so much AoE. They have so much like cheap AoE, 2 mana deal 2 to everything already. Blade Dance. So I don't think DH wants to play bad cards into like their deck just to be able to play another Duskbreaker. I don't think it will happen. But that said, DH might still play the 4 mana 4/2 weapon, not for the Soul Fragment synergy, but just because this weapon is pretty good. It's pretty aggressive, 4 mana 8 damage basically, right? Might like completely replace Warclaves in tempo DH. And as for in Warlock, Soul Fragments, I don't think they're really good either. You know, I don't want to like doubt what the designers say, but like I don't think Questlock wants to risk drawing fragments when they complete the quest. I still don't think like that's something you want to risk. Also, you also need to cut a lot of good cards from Questlock as well to fit all those soul fragments. So I'm pretty I doubt soul fragments cards will see play apart from this card, Arrow Slicer. So fifth place. Fifth place is quite a cute card, Lap Partner. So, when I was watching the reviews, I was seeing like so many people say like, you know, Lap Partner is such a good one drop for Mage, right? It is a pretty good one drop, but I just don't think the whole spell damage package, including Rods, Frost Whisper, you know, the dual Shaman Mage legendary, I don't think that package is good enough to support like this whole spell damage package. I don't think the 2 mana draw for each spell damage like is good enough either. I don't think Mozaki combo are gonna be viable because it's too reliant on Mozaki, and it's just pretty clunky. Spell damage cards are just not that good and worth in general. That said, I really wish Tempo Mage is going to be something. Uh, Especially like I think Tempo Mage can utilize the 5 mana 3/6 that summons a like 2 mana worms. They can use the 3 mana 3 for new Flame Waker. Um, but yeah, I just don't think Lab Partner is a good enough of a card in Tempo Mage. All right, so before we jump into fourth place, let's talk about the second pitfall of card evaluation, which is evaluating cards based on average raw value slash raw stats. And so that's why fourth place is 2 cards. So first one is Argent Braggart, and second one is Pupil. So I think it's called, yeah, Devout Pupil. So like, I know those are 2 cards, but I decided to put them all like together in fourth place because I think they pretty much belong in the same deck. So it was pretty funny because like Bloody Face and Gang, they were evaluating this card and they said this is absolutely insane. Like Raggard should cost 3, and then there was Monsanto in chat who was like, no, this is a 1-star. And anyway, it was pretty funny. But I do think this card is pretty bad. So the argument is that people love like saying, oh, this card is on average a 2 mana 5/5. This is on average a 4 mana Sunwalker, Devout Pupil. But here's the but. Can you play that Sunwalker on turn 4 actually? People say like this thing is a thing from below, but remember, thing from below could consistently be played on 4 because you had Totem Golem and you could sometimes like Hero Power on 3 and you just play that on turn 4. But how likely are you to play that on 4, like this new Sunwalker? It's if you really think about it, it's pretty hard. You need to play 2 buffs on already minions that are on board by turn 1, 2, or 3. Like that's just really hard. And yeah, even though on average, like during a game, it's a 4 mana Sunwalker, but if it's a 4 mana Sunwalker that like can only reach 4 mana on turn 7, then like it's not good enough. Same for Braggart. Yes, maybe it is like maybe on average you say like a 2 mana 4/4, but it's never a 2 mana 4/4 that you can actually like that it can actually be a 4/4 on turn 2. And for similar reasons, those 2 cards are overrated. All right, so third place. Third place, I would like to discuss about the third pitfall of card evaluation, which is overvaluing combo potential. And the third place card, which I want to talk about, this is going to be a surprise for a lot of people. In fact, third, second, and first place, these are going to be pretty spicy. So this card is Lord Barrow. I think Lord Barrow is really, the card is good, but it really doesn't fit in either Paladin or Warrior. And this is, I feel like this is a really like a hot take, but I think like the number one archetype Warrior would want to play as Temple Warrior, and Temple Warrior, you say like this is a clear with like you play Skipper, you play this, and it's a clear. Wow, what a great combo, such potential. But really, like when I play Temple Warrior, like the Enrage Warrior with the Skipper, like it is so rare that I actually want to clear the board. I almost all the time I just want to do shenanigans. I want to play Skipper. I want to like damage everything. I don't want them to die. I want to play my 0 mana 5/8. I want to rush into something. I want to play my Armor Smith. I want to gain armor, I want to draw cards. This is like unplayable in Temp Warrior. Yes, it might be good in Bomb Warrior. That's why like I don't say this card is unplayable, but I say this is overrated. And also in Paladin, um, no, Paladin like doesn't want another equality effect. The problem with Paladin right now is like they keep on getting tools that they already have, and you can even say they are already good at doing, like put everything to 1 health, buffs, um, well statted minions. But where's the like efficient damage? Where is um, card draw? Right? They still don't have that things. They like these things, and that's what they're lacking. And Lord Barov doesn't contribute to that. So, that's why I don't think Lord Barov is that good. So that's my number 3. So, number 2 and 1. Before I talk about number 2 and 1, I want to talk about my fourth, like, pitfall of card evaluation, which is this one really triggers me. This one actually really triggers me, which is evaluating cards based on best case scenario. And as a CS student, right? When we talk about sorting algorithms, why is quick sort better than bubble sort? This is getting pretty technical, but anyway, the answer is that when sorting stuff, you can't just consider the best case scenario. Bubble sort has best case big O of n, which is really good, but quick sort is better because it has a less worst case, like simply put, and that's why I think my number 2 most overrated card is Glide. I see so many people give this like insta 5 stars. Jay Alexander, no hands, they give it 4 out of 4. Bloody and their group gave 5 out of 5. When they evaluate Glide, they are always like, oh my god, this best case for Glide, you have no cards in your hand, you outcast Glide, you draw 4 cards, you wreck your opponent's hand, which happens to be a control deck, you insta win the game by playing Glide. Magic, right? But really, so that's just not gonna happen that often. The average case for this card, I think, is very mediocre. First of all, aggro DH. I think aggro DH can't help but to play the 5 mana 6/4. That's for sure. I think they want to play that card no matter what. That card is too good. So that already is a factor that doesn't help. And really, when you think about it, if you're playing against aggro, the outcast effect might even help your opponent. And if you're playing against control, if they have a full hand, like they have a full hand when you can outcast this card to get value, don't you think they already probably lost? It's basically saying that you're in an aggro deck, they played no cards. You already win usually in those cases, and on the other hand, if they don't have a lot of cards, then that means you guys are fighting a close game, and in that case, this card isn't Divine Favor because you're just cycling your opponent because the control deck usually they play all their removal and say they have 5 cards left. Those 5 cards will all be big drops, clunky cards, and if you outcast that, even though you do -1 hand size on your control opponent, they are actually gonna get better cards on average. So that's why I think first of all the outcast effect is just never good enough. It's just not good. And then some people say, oh, this is a 4 mana draw 4. Oh, this is not a 4 mana draw 4 because you actually need to play this as your last card. Duh. And that is a hard task to do. Demon Hunter just I don't think Demon Hunters like dump their hand that easily. I think Demon Hunter has like too many good high cost cards. As I said, like the 5 mana 6/4, and even Skull of Gul'dan, I still think is a very, very good card in Tempo DH. So, anyhow, this card is overrated. It's clearly overrated for me. And my number one, drum rolls, right? Number one, Secret Passage. And this falls into the same principle of evaluating cards based on their best case scenario. Almost everyone gave this card 5 stars. You know, they say like this is gonna be like the best card in the set. Absolutely insane. The only person I saw like say that this card isn't that good is Monsanto. So first of all, the first thing I want to say, which really triggers me to be honest, is that people say this is a 1 mana draw 5. Like, guys, this is not a 1 mana draw 5. First of all, if it's really a 1 mana draw 5, well, why can't you play that on turn 1? And it does matter, because if it's really a 1 mana draw 5, you play that on turn 1 and your curve for the rest of the game is like super smooth, but you can't do that. So it's not a 1 mana draw 5. And second of all, even if it's in the late game, in order for this card to be a 1 mana draw 5, you need to actually play your 5 cards, right? Because they disappear after that. So it's not a 1 mana draw 5, and it's rarely a 1 mana draw 5. Then the second point basically is that this is not necessarily better than Solarium for several reasons. So Zoo is better at dumping cards than Rogue. I'm quite convinced of that actually, because they just have like more small minions, right? So Zoo is better at dumping cards. And also Solarium, if what you draw like off of Solarium is pretty clunky or it doesn't like perfectly fit the curve, you can still play like something from your hand, where Secret Passage doesn't allow you to do that. And finally, why Secret Passage is bad? It is just a dead card in your hand so often, right? So yes, you know, TLDR, this card may still see play in Aggro Rogue, but even then, it will be like one of the worst cards with the worst like drawn win rate in Aggro Rogue. Yep. So those are my top 10 overrated cards of the set. I hope you enjoyed the video. And just remember the 4 pitfalls we discussed in this video are, first of all, relying on a comparison with a similar card from the past. Second, evaluating cards based on like average value, average stats. Third, overvaluing combo potential. Fourth, evaluating cards based on best case scenario. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was insightful enough. Hopefully I won't be too wrong on everything. And see you for the next video, where I'll be talking about underrated cards and best cards of the set.